What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? It is the Wolf and I am back at it again with another video, another crazy theory. Before you get your panties in a twist, let me just ask you this one question. Are there really any limits to bending? Our world shares so many qualities to the main four elements that technically, there really might not be any limitation to anyone with the ability to bend. With that being said, of course, there are specialized bending in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender that have already been discovered, such as blood bending, metal bending, etc. With a little bit of ingenuity, Katara was able to bend her own sweat to use as a sort of blade to break open the wooden jail cell her and Toph were thrown into after being captured pulling scams in Season 3. Amazing, ain't it? Katara was taught to blood bend by the crazy old hag Hama, and even how to rip water from flowers. With such little things being taken into consideration, it isn't a stretch to say the greatest earthbender of all time, nicknamed the Runaway and the Blind Bandit, could have the ability to bloodbend, now is it? Now, to put it simply, Toph is low-key OP as hell. Toph is my favorite character in the entire series and actually inspired me to pick up martial arts. I am still to this day looking for a Southern Praying Mantis style dojo, but that's a story for another time. To be honest, I binge watch the series once a month without fail, and I mean it. The story and the development of the characters were so mature for the age rating of this show. To put it plainly, I obsessed. And with that obsession, I paid close attention to each character's abilities, personalities, and theoretically what they could do with their bending with a little extra focus and dedication. Toph has already mastered the art of earthbending, founded the style of metal bending, perfected her sandbending after years of practice, and can sense the earth in anything outside of platinum, theoretically. Again, this probably could still be done through her seismic sense, but let's just give her this one L. With Toph's seismic sense, she can easily detect the earth particles in literally anything. So who's to say if there was enough iron or metal of any kind in an individual's bloodstream or body that she wouldn't be able to use that iron or metal to bend them physically to her will? I just shit myself! It is known that the human body holds several minerals within itself. Minerals such as copper, zinc, and iron, just to name a few, all of which were probably used to develop metal during Toph's lifespan in the world of Avatar, including both The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Well, according to the Iron Disorders Institute, the average male has 4 grams of iron in the body, while the average female has about 3.5 grams, with children of both sexes having about 3 grams or less. These grams are distributed through the body in hemoglobin, tissues, muscles, plasma, and guess what? Blood proteins. Now, to be fair, that isn't exactly a lot to work with, but Toph is no stranger to utilizing trace elements of rock and metal to bend to her will. The first time Toph experienced any real trouble with her bending ability is when she came across the Sandbenders and was stuck in the desert. According to Live Science, the most common component of sand is silicon dioxide in the form of quartz, feldspar, and mica. With such a small availability of her usual bending materials, it makes sense she would struggle originally. With her learning to perfect this particular type of bending, it is quite plausible that she can blood bend, and here's how. But hold on, wait, just before we get into talking about how Toph can actually bloodbend, let's look to Magneto of Marvel Comics. It is known that Magneto has had some extracurricular activities with ripping metal straight out of people's bodies, such as Logan. As we know, Logan's body is covered in adamantium, one of the strongest metals known to man in the Marvel Universe, second only to vibranium. And Magneto, a mutant with the ability to manipulate metal, had the power to actually pull that from his body. And it did not look pretty, let me tell you. Moving on though, this is how Toph is actually a bloodbender. As we just discussed, the human body carries trace amounts of metals that get carried through our bloodstreams. The number of these metals can vary greatly based on genetics, diet, and so much more. Unlike Katara and a full moon, Toph would not have a specific time where her abilities could be heightened, so extreme focus on Toph's part and use of her seismic sense will be necessary. In the way that sand holds very small bits of weathered rock, the human body holds small bits of metal. With the use of her seismic sense, Toph is able to tell if someone's lying, about to attack, about to die, and so much more. All of these small details make it possible for this same sense to be used in an attempt to find minute traces of metal in the bloodstream. Now, in theory, this works, but in practice, who would actually have the time to physically manipulate the metals in blood? the metal will not boast the same amount of water in the stream that makes bloodbending relatively easy for waterbenders. There is enough flowing. Toph Beifong could indeed bloodbend, but it would not be as graceful and would probably be easier if her enemy is subdued in a similar way that Aang subdues Fire Lord Ozai to give himself the time and focus to remove his bending. With the same conditions, Toph's innate ability to sense and bend both metal and earth, she could theoretically, at the very least, rip the metal piece by piece out of the body in the same fashion that Korra does, but of course with more ferocity. She has already proved herself capable of sensing trace amounts of metal. It would just take her in her prime to weaponize it instead of using it for the ability of healing like she does for the newest avatar in The Legend of Korra. To clarify, Korra was able to remove the metal from her system by herself, but Toph was the one who knew it was still in her body. If Korra can do it and it's not even her main element, Toph could literally do this in her sleep. All it takes is a little chutzpah and a little focus. So yes, Toph Beifong indeed has the ability to bloodbend. In a sense, she has the ability to sense and mobilize the metal in the human body, which not only makes her the greatest earthbender of all time, but a real force to be reckoned with. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on, theoretically, Toph Beifong's ability to actually bloodbend. With enough iron in the blood system, and it varies of course, and enough focus on her part and her enemy being subdued, she could probably manipulate bodies the way that Katara and Hama can. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below, and please remember to join the GeekETV Patreon, where you can get stuff like free shirts, your name at the end of the video, and so much more. And of course, your support helps keep GeekETV afloat, and I highly thank you for that. Any whoosies, like, share, subscribe, and even though the wolf has got a scat, just remember, long little wolf pack.